Seja bem-vindo ao canal Teologia Online.
Pastoral Theology. Class 5. The Modern Period. In this class we will cover the Modern Period, 1648 to present. Some important theologians of the era considered modern. Richard Baxter, 1615 to 1691. William Perkins, 1558 to 1602. Jonathan Edwards, 1703 to 1758. Charles Bridges, 1794 to 1869. Charles Spurgeon, 1834 to 1892. Cyrus Ingerson Schofield, 1843 to 1921. D. Martin Lloyd-Jones, 1899 to 1981. Charles Caldwell Ryrie, 1925 to 2016. J. E. Adams, 1929 to 2020. John MacArthur, Jr. 1939 present. John Stephen Piper, 1946 present. The modern era has many examples of men who pursued a biblical ecclesiastical ministry. Some have clung to the heritage of progress towards this ministry. Such values were left by the magisterial reformers. Richard Baxter, 1615 to 1691. He was one of the first Puritan theologians. He is best known for the book The Reformed Shepherd. The book focuses on Acts 20 verse 28 and develops a philosophy of ministry. It deals with the labors, confessions, motivations, limitations and dedication of the pastor. Puritanism also left at least one permanent legacy, the phenomenon of a gathered church, separated from the state and with the resulting proliferation of independent churches. Ryken identifies some important aspects of the Puritan concept of the church. The Puritans elevated the layperson's role in the church and their participation in worship. Many Puritans gravitated toward systems of Presbyterian or congregational government, which held lay people accountable for choosing ministers within each congregation. Puritans adopted simplicity in various parts of worship. This included orderly and clear organization, controlled ceremony and ritual, simplified church architecture, music and furniture, simplified sacraments, and a clearly defined goal of worship. Jonathan Edwards, 1703 to 1758. He was well known as a philosopher and expert theologian, was also a pastor. Westra claims that Edwards knew that this biblical name, Jonathan, meant gift of Jehovah, and, in the midst of prayers he dedicated himself to be Jehovah's gift to the souls in his care. He did so with a heart fully convinced that a faithful minister as a means of grace can be the greatest of all the blessings in the world which God bestows upon a people. One need only read the Puritans to see that they present one of the best pastoral theologies of the modern period. Charles Spurgeon, 1834 to 1892, known primarily for his preaching rather than his day-to-day pastoral duties, taught his students the principles of preaching. Despite this, he understood that the center of ministry was to meet the spiritual needs of his people, and so he wrote, "Ministers are for the churches, not the churches for the ministers." It is significant that the controversies surrounding Spurgeon's ministry are entirely related to the application of his theology to pastoral tasks, such as evangelism in particular or ministerial philosophy. Cyrus Ingerson Schofield, 1843 to 1921. He was converted to evangelical Christianity through the testimony of a lawyer acquaintance. Significantly, Schofield came under the mentorship of James H. Brooks, pastor of Walnut Street Presbyterian Church, St. Louis, a prominent dispensationalist premillennialist. In October 1883, Schofield was ordained as a Congregationalist minister, while his divorce was proceeding but not yet final, and he accepted the pastorate of a small mission church founded by that denomination, which became the First Congregational Church of Dallas, now Schofield Memorial Church. The church grew from 14 to over 500 members before he resigned its pastorate in 1895. Charles Caldwell Ryrie, 1925 to 2016. He was an American Bible scholar and Christian theologian. He served as professor of systematic theology and dean of doctoral studies at Dallas Theological Seminary and as president and professor at what is now Cairn University. After his retirement from Dallas Theological Seminary, he also taught courses for Tyndale Theological Seminary. Considered one of the most influential American theologians of the 20th. He is considered one of the most influential American theologians of the 20th century. He was the editor of the Ryrie Study Bible by Moody Publishers, containing more than 10,000 of Ryrie's explanatory notes. First published in 1978, it has sold more than 2 million copies. He was a notable proponent of classic premillennial dispensationalism. D. Martin Lloyd-Jones, 1939–1981. He was highly respected as an expository preacher, but he was also a devoted and faithful pastor. His biography is replete with examples of both preaching and pastoring. He was, above all, a preacher and defender of the irreplaceable character of biblical preaching, of a correct relationship with the congregation. The pews must never dictate the message, but the preacher must listen to his people. J. E. Adams, 1929–2020. He was longtime professor at Westminster Theological Seminary and often pastor. Adams has contributed greatly to the current understanding of biblical ministry in several areas. In each case, he has built this pastoral understanding on its firm foundation of biblical and exegetically theology. His first major topic was counseling, in which he developed a biblical model of noetic counseling, note the Greek word nothedeo, and emphasized the need to confront sin with biblical teaching. He has also developed a series of theological textbooks covering life, counseling, and pastoral leadership. John MacArthur, Jr. 1939–present. He defines the term poimenologia, poimen, shepherd, in Greek, as 1. The study of pastoring, 2. The science of leading the flock, and 3. A biblical method of ecclesiastical leadership. He develops this term from the idea that all ministry flows from the teachings of Scripture. John Stephen Piper, 1946–present. He is an American New Testament scholar, Baptist theologian, pastor, and chancellor of Bethlehem College and Seminary. Piper taught biblical studies at Bethel University for 6 years, before serving as pastor for preaching and vision of Bethlehem Baptist Church for 33 years. Conclusion. This is but a brief history of biblical pastoral ministry. These accounts are often based on those ministries whose records remain to be examined by future generations. There are many faithful ministers who also pursue a biblical ministry whose accomplishments only heaven records. The future examination of each person's ministry, 1 Corinthians 3 verses 13–15, and the account of faithful ministry to the glory of God will become a time of great joy in heaven. Pastors of today can find great encouragement and receive immense challenges by studying the lives and convictions of faithful ministers of the past.